Hi, welcome to the Anywhere Art Studio. Today I'm going to talk about how to begin a watercolor painting. It's a question I'm frequently asked. First of all, I like to make sure that I have my watercolor paper with my drawing on a support surface. And you can use pretty much anything. I just use an old clipboard for something small, and you could tape around it if you wanted to, or you could just clip it on. The first thing you want to do is to paint your largest area first, and perhaps lightly if you like. So I'm going to paint the background wall color here in my painting with I'm going to paint it a peach color. So I'm going to use some yellow ochre and a little permanent rose and make kind of a peachy color here. And you want to make enough color so you don't run out midway. And you can paint it whatever technique you want, but you want to start with the biggest area. So something else to keep in mind is to use gravity to tilt your painting, because if you're starting at the top like this, gravity works with you to roll down your paint, for your paint to roll down and not get too spotty. So you just get it on. I get it on pretty lightly. I don't worry too much about it being perfect, but I just kind of want to see what the color looks like and get the big areas covered, because then I can go back later and fill in other things. So here we go. And it's easier to paint around something before it's painted, I find. So there I've got my background in. That's my biggest area. Then I look for my next biggest area. Well, I wouldn't do the details next. I would do the next biggest area, which would be, I'll use green and get some of my foliage in. So I try to choose an area that's not touching the already wet area if I don't want all my paint to bleed together. So I have that, and maybe I'll add some more yellow, because you want your bright colors in the front of your painting, and then your duller colors recede, and that gives you more depth in your painting. So now I've got that in, and so now it's almost like a puzzle. Now you have to say, oh, is that dry yet? Nope, not yet, can't paint there. What can I paint? Well, I could paint these pots because they are not touching any wet paint. So I'm going to take some red orange to make a terracotta pot, and a teeny bit of blue to dull it down and make a terracotta color. And then I'll start with this pot. So it looks like I decided, because of my drawing underneath, that this is the darker area, that the light is coming this way. So I just start over here and I'll dot it on. This is not the greatest watercolor paper. I think it's a mixed media paper, but it's doing okay. Then I might put another color in like that, let it mix. So then I've got that. Over here, maybe this is dry. I could make this pot orange also. If your wash around your object is not dry, like say this wall, if it wasn't dry yet, if I wanted to avoid the colors mixing together while wet, or say this green down here mixing with the orange, you can leave a small little white alleyway. It's called a paper dam. So here, I'll just leave a paper dam here. Later on I can come back if I want to. I can add a little bit more paint while it's wet, but not much. Now it's kind of drippy and wet, so I'm going to lay my painting flat and sort of assess what to do next. Well, it's pretty dry back there, so I can paint my foliage that's in the back. So I am going to take another color green and mix it to make that foliage. So it's going to be this color. It's going to be a little different. And again, this is my darkest side over here. and I'm just blobbing it on, big blobs, sort of just dot, 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 dot. You can go around that leaf there to make it pop out later. Here's another blob. You could just leave that white. Maybe you put a little bit more blue in this to make it darker in the crevices, like it might be darker down here. Like I said, this is not the best watercolor paper. It's mixed media, but it's good. Okay, so I like that. That's good enough. Then maybe I'll use this and use it for these leaves here. So actually I'm breaking my rule because the rule is detailed last. But since I had this on my brush, I splurged. Okay, now that's the last thing you do, which is your details. So probably I would quickly put in my windows. I won't do fancy windows today. I'll just do a quick swipe of blue in each window. Maybe there'll be some reflected green, but we'll just get this in so you can get the gist of it. And then the very last thing you want is your details. So, like the little plants and the little lines would be details. As soon as this dries, I'll paint this and I'll paint this. So let's suppose the bus is leaving and you're in a hurry. You've got to get this painting done. Just hurry up and paint it. Don't worry about it. And that's a good rule to remember in general. Don't get too worried, just do it. Okay, so, and sometimes you do your best paintings. Let's do these in a color that'll stick out. Maybe we'll put some green around them when they dry. And pink is the complementary color of green. So this makes each one, when they're placed side by side, they make each one look brighter. When you mix them together, they make each one look duller. So we've got that. We've got some of that. Now we don't want to leave that red over there alone by itself because your eye will just jet over there and leave the picture. So you may want to use this red a few other times. Maybe we'll stick some red flowers up here. You can have fun, just sort of make it up. It doesn't matter as long as you have it used maybe 3 times. Later on, if I do have ink lines here, so later on maybe I would put some ink around the ones I'm painting in now, but I'm getting it 2 different places. Sometimes I let it mix together because that is watercolor when it's wet into wet, and it does funky things and surprises you. You can put some orange on top of that, whatever you want to brighten it up. Now we've got a few more greens and we're almost done. So we could put something behind here, and this is our good next spot, so we'll hurry up and put some yellow ochre with our green to create yet a different green. So it'll be like this. And this, by the way, is called the Blob and Dot Method, where you just start dotting on the paint and the dots turn to blobs. So you could do that and leave it back here. Oops, need more. If you just have one value of this paint, it looks flat. So I've got to come back and put some dark thin lights in this later. So there you go, got that. Oop, got this on my brush. Maybe I'll make this one a little bit bluer, maybe. So that has some blue in it. And that's duller, it's receding off the page, so you don't want to make it the star. Then we've got this right here, green. What are we going to do here? I don't know. So let's make it a something that will stand out, be bright, be cheerful. Okay, we've got some bright, bright green. What the heck? Let's try it. Ooh, it might be a little too bright, but you're getting the idea. I could dull it down maybe later. But now this is dry, so I can paint around it. That's why I do the details last. Put some more in there. And I don't have to cover up all the white. Put a few more over here. I could, if I wanted to, add a little green here. I don't know. Okay, and then maybe I'll use this blue-green that I made up before, put it up here, and maybe my last step, well, I could work on it and then get back to you, or I'll just show you my last step There's a few things I can finish later, just the little details and around the window, but basically, and add more values, but basically that's how I start a painting. I do the biggest areas, then the medium areas, areas that are not touching each other when they're wet, and then I finish with the details. So that's how I would recommend you start a painting. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below, and I hope to see you in the next video.